Tour de France organizer ASO is considering adding the Montmartre laps, the butte, the butt, the sort of what was it, the 1,600 meter climb, or like length climb on cobbles that was used in the Olympics this year, and they're considering adding it to the final stage of the Tour de France. So that would switch things up quite dramatically. What do we think about this?
Well, I don't know what I think about it, to be honest. I mean, I remember one of the things building up to the Olympics was the discussion over the narrowness of the route over the hill. So I look forward to some grumbles from certain teams about that, but also the fact that there would be so much speculation and opportunity to do something interesting on the final stage. Let's just say Remco Evenepoel is a minute and a half down, and he gets a bee in his bonnet, and I don't know, catches Vingegaard unawares, or Vingegaard's still on the champagne. He just pings up the road. But then, so there's that potential eventuality. But then there's also the idea that, you know, there'll be the gentleman's agreement, as there always is in Paris, and so there'll be this hill that's very pretty and very and with good memories on it. But in actual fact, it'll just be the sprinters teams completely blocking the front and going really, 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 really slowly over this picturesque lump in the middle of Paris, and then riding to the finish as usual. So I don't know. I like the idea, but for a stage 20.
Well, this is you've alluded to the point there, Kit. It entirely depends on whether they're actually going to race it.
Exactly.
Like if they don't bother to race it, then there seems to be little point. Like, yeah, it would look cool, but it looks cool anyway on the Champs-Élysées. Like, that's not what we're concerned about for stage 21 ever. But say there is like a super close Tour de France, and then you actually have a final stage that's raced through Paris. That would be cool. And Kaylee, I think, actually put in our Slack the other day, and feel free to edit this out if he doesn't want this in public. He's like, well, at the moment, most of the sprinters are like kind of boring. So why do they get all of this, you know, all the accolades of this final stage of the Tour de France? And I actually agree.
I feel like the sprinters are being undeservedly shaded there, but I think you do have a point about the popularity, because and the other side of that coin is the people who would potentially win this stage if they do race it are the riders that are the most popular in the sport. It's first of all, Pogacar, who is missing from Kit's hypothetical. Generously left off.
What do you know, Kit?
To allow the others to shine for a day. But yeah, Evenepoel and Van Aert and Tom Pidcock, not this year, but some year maybe.
Chapeau.
Yeah. And so anyway, that I think raises the potential for excitement, fan engagement, all that good stuff. We saw the crowds along the road up to the Sacré-Cœur last year. Was amazing, and I think
it was fantastic.
I think it's good for that.
So I have personally experienced both of these things. Right, I was in Paris this summer for the Olympics, and I was in the upstairs window of a cafe with Joshua Robinson of the Wall Street Journal, Abby Mickey, of Escape Collective, also Jason Gay of the Wall Street Journal, hanging out with us up there, and it was awesome. It was awesome. I mean, I've covered how many Tours de France now? 14, whatever it is. The only time I've seen that level of sort of side of the road chaos and party vibes, and you know, like, is maybe Dutch Corner on Alpe d'Huez is the only kind of similar level of on the ground excitement. And I know it was good TV as well, but on the ground excitement was through the roof. You know, it was one of the only free events at the Olympics, and so I think that there was a fair amount of a sort of excitement there. But it was awesome. It was really, really, really cool. So just on that fact alone, I think it's worth kind of considering here, right? I do think that there's some major differences between what we're talking about potentially at the end of the Tour de France and what happened at the Olympics. The biggest of which is the Olympic road race is 273 kilometers and raced hard from quite early on, right? And that's not going to be the case here. So the 3-minute climb up to Montmartre is not going to have the same impact at the end of this stage as it had at the end of the
Everyone will have
Olympics.
complete teams as well. Well, complete-ish.
Yeah, everyone will have complete. Now, granted, there'll be 3 weeks
Yeah.
of racing in the lakes, and so there is. I think there's an opportunity for something wild to happen, but it all depends on the specifics. So it depends how many times they go up, depends how exactly they get from Montmartre to the Champs, because they'll still finish on the Champs. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, that's what
They sell like a kilometer's worth of VIP tickets along the Champs-Élysées. Like, there's no way they're giving up on that as the actual finale. And the run from Montmartre to like the Place de la Concorde, so the bottom of the Champs, is all downhill, right? So how exactly they get there, how quickly they get there, how big the roads are to get from one place to another, because there's big road options and small road options. That all determines whether there's really any chance of, and how many laps that they do after, right? So if they do a couple Montmartre laps, if they do 3 or 4 Champs laps, it's gonna come back together, right? And all these little details will have a huge impact on whether this change is, just a bit of sort of window dressing, or whether it fundamentally changes the way that it's raced and
we
who
should
wins.
Also, while on that note of sort of down, after hyping everything up, now that we're starting to downplay the impact, we should also point out that there's a decent chance it doesn't happen at all. At the moment, this plan is still very much a nascent one. They are
good word.
Thank you. They're talking with the Paris police, trying to make this happen, and the Paris police have essentially said, you're going to force us to close Montmartre for like up to 3 days. We need substantial investment to put up barriers. I think a big concern is how big the peloton is. So the Tour, it's like double the size of the Olympic peloton.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors that could go into making this not happen, that we should at least point out before we go back to having fun talking about why.
Yeah, I remember seeing a number of op-eds around, or just news pieces or analysis pieces after the Olympics saying that was great, but it's never happening at the Tour because ... everything you've just said, Dane. And I mean, I think one of the factors is what we said about actually wanting to race it. But yeah, obviously they have to ride into Paris every year anyway. But then it's just a fairly simple closure of Champs-Élysées, and it would be quite a significant additional closure to incorporate that extra climb. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it'd be cool to see them do it once. Probably won't happen this year. Well, obviously it won't happen this year, but it's.
I think it could. I think it could happen this year.
Is that what they're saying for this year?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So we should mention that the original reporting on this is from Le Parisien, the sort of the online newspaper magazine. So we're snagging it from there. This is not original.
They're well sourced though within ASO and stuff. So.
Yeah,
I think I have better sources with the Paris Police Department. That's how they got this, I think, which is kind of impressive.
They take one look at that mustache and like he's a man of the law.
So, I think honestly, let's ignore the logistics of it.
Yeah,
because
what logistics anyway? Yeah,
not our concern. And to be honest, given the reception at the Olympics last year, and given the fact that, for example, ASO could build a couple little stands at the top and potentially make a bunch of money, and given the sort of all those things, I think it is logistically feasible. It's happened once already for the Olympics, and the Paris during the Olympics was all like sort of already very strange and shut down, and there's all sorts of crazy stuff happening in Paris anyway, and the city sort of acquiesced to that. There's also a fair amount of political will to just sort of highlight cycling in Paris at the moment. I mean, the city has undergone an extraordinary transformation in the last decade, from one of a sort of a car city to a cycling and pedestrian city. It feels nothing like it did 10 years ago. So there's political will. I think it could happen. So let's leave that to the side. Do we want it to? That's the question.
I don't think it'll live up to expectations. Yeah.
Whatever does,
it'll be. But yeah, and actually, on that last stage of the Tour, we don't need a big story where somebody steals the yellow jersey. We just want more pretty pictures, and fewer laps of the Champs-Élysées.
I would love someone to steal the yellow jersey on the final stage.
That would be great.
Think about
Yeah,
so the
you'd have
last
to do
time
some
that
work,
happened. The last time that happened was '89 time trial Le Mans
Yes.
Fignon, right? We still talk about it.
Yeah. 45 years. No. 35 years later.
It's the same age as me, so yeah.
That's an easy way to remember it.
Which is kind of a bummer.
I'm all for tour gimmicks, even if it ends up being like the grid start. Don't care. Still remember the grid start. Love that was a great day.
I also
More gimmicks.
Personally, I mean, I would think it would be great whether or not the yellow jersey was in play. Just again because we get those big names.
Yeah.
Who, with respect to Jasper Philipsen, who Kaylee loves to disrespect, and also Biniam Girmay, and the riders who are going to be pretty bummed about this. It would
Biniam
be
could compete.
Girmay
compete
over that.
The punchier riders are the new sprinters. Like they're the ones with the panache, with the Lamborghinis, with the endorsement deals.
Van Aert would love it.
With respect to Olav Koy, who's a perfectly nice man, he doesn't get me out of bed in the morning. You feel me, Dane?
I feel you. Yeah, I mean it's true that there was a time when the sprinters were that. They're like in football, they're or American football, it's the wide receiver, and then like.
Now the tight ends have come in and taken all the shine. Is that what you're saying,
Johnny? Gee, how do you? I'm so impressed with your American football knowledge.
The wide receivers still scratch the surface of me.
They still have that, but yeah.
But not the same. Yeah.
Can I paint a picture for us that is an argument for this?
Is it of us all being in a upstairs cafe that's blocked off to everyone else but us, and us watching all the riders go past, and that's the reason why it should happen?
That sounds quite expensive.
Yeah, no, we did it at the Olympics just by
the Olympics. You just have to have a French person with you, yeah.
We just had to talk to a guy. No, I'm gonna from a racing perspective. Let me just.
Oh, okay, fine.
Let me paint the picture for you. Okay, so
is it recycling on a Thursday?
No, my neighbor Josh, Escape Lifetime member, Josh, just walked by. Also the original owner of the meth camper.
Oh.
I bought it from him.
Wow.
That must have been an easy transaction.
He's out on his morning constitutional.
How much was the delivery fee to get it transferred from his yard to yours?
He even used his own truck to do it.
No way.
Yeah. Tomorrow he'll be listening to this podcast as he walks by my house.
And he'll love it.
Good morning, Josh.
Yep. Good morning, Josh. Anyway, what was I talking about? I was setting the scene for you. Okay, so just imagine this. The yellow jersey is sewn up. Okay, so we'll leave that to the side. Leave the sort of the idea.
Pogačar is 8 minutes ahead of.
Pogačar is 8 minutes ahead. It's over, right? So normally, the Paris stage would be a complete procession. Just a bit of champagne, rolling around, and then we get about 45 minutes of kind of it's quite hard racing, to be clear, around the Champs-Élysées, because the Champs it's like these sort of weird they're not really cobblestones, they're kind of anyway, it's hard racing. Instead, we get, let's call it 3 laps up Montmartre, right? And they do decide to race it. The big names, Wout van Aert, Van der Poel, Remco, they want the stage win because it's 3 laps of Montmartre and then a quick dive down to the Champs where they do 1 lap and then finish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Milan San Remo.
Yeah, it might actually get Mathieu van der Poel to turn up.
So you get like they're not going to have more than 12 seconds over the top on a relatively large group, right? And then they've got a mostly downhill run through the city and then 1 lap of the Champs to hang on. I think in all likelihood it comes back together, but it might not.
You get the chase, yeah.
But you get the chase, you get drama all the way to the very last second of the Tour de France. Most likely, Jasper Philipsen still catches back on, wins the sprint, reminds us of how exciting he is, and then, but there is that chance.
Yeah,
that
that's all you need.
Or Wout van Aert does something, or Van der Poel does something, and we don't know until the end. So that's my vision for this. And I think again, if it all comes down to sort of the specifics of like how they get from the Montmartre laps to the Champs laps, how many Champs laps there are. But I think it could be cool.
Well, maybe former Milan San Remo winner Arnaud Démare will win.
Yes,
could be. I also think they should only do it like once every 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just the Arnaud Démare, that's a big joke. I'm not
Just in
sure
case
that
someone's
I like that
wondering.
you're taking your time out to say like, no, actually, sorry, French people, don't get your hopes up.
I mean,
How-
Julian Alaphilippe is invited. That would be fun
Yeah.
to see him give it a go.
Unless Arnaud Demar can hold on to a car.
Well,
up
that
the,
yes,
up the
exactly. I was
Montmartre.
hoping somebody would get there a little bit quicker.
How much do we think this is a ploy by ASO to bat back the encroaching one cycling movement by trying to make things slightly more exciting?
Well, so this is also proof that they've already got the product, and if they wanted to take some of the things that One Cycling is trying to do, they could do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right? If they want to do this lap and they could convince the politicians and the police to let them do it, they could build a big stadium next to Sacré-Cœur at the top of this hill
Yeah.
and put and sell €2,000 tickets to sit there because it's the most beautiful spot in all of Paris, looking out over the entire city and the Eiffel Tower and all the rest. Like, no question they could benefit financially from this move.
I think so. That it really is it's absolutely beautiful. That spot, sitting there and looking out over Paris. Even then, it's not quite as beautiful as what really underrated there. Went kind of unnoticed. Johnny's segue from the discussion of Montmartre into One Cycling, and I want to take a moment to appreciate that, John.
Thanks, Dane, because not everyone at home has access to our run sheet.
To our run sheet, yeah.
And I didn't even pick up on it, so I just brought it right back.
The final thing on the Montmartre.
I unsegued us.
Yeah, you took us back.
As soon as you did, the final thing is if they do the Montmartre thing, and the Sacré-Cœur and whatever, they need to have the dudes who sell you the beers for €1, just who come up to you. Have you been there in the evening when you're hanging out?
Yeah. Because cheap sunglasses.
You can't get rid of them and replace them with like the Tortel Twist merchants. Like I want to drink like.
But my favorite part of
respectfully ice cold like.
My favorite part of those street vendors at Montmartre though is when you see them spot security. And they just scoop up everything they have and run.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. It's like something out of, I don't know, it's a silly movie.
And when you buy one beer, it's almost as if they don't understand the idea of consuming a beer because they're like, well, you buy why don't you just buy 4 now? Which is, as a younger man maybe, but in this day and age, it's like, no, this will be my one beer and then I'm going to go to bed by 9 p.m.